Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, it looks like a little bit of a tournament is starting to shape up in the middleweight division. It was just announced that Canelo will be facing Andrade-Jacobs in a unification bout, and now Billy Joe Saunders, or I should say Demetrius Andrade, is in negotiations with Billy Joe Saunders for the WBO title. Demetrius Andrade just won the WBO title because Billy Joe Saunders, he got stripped of the title for testing positive for a banned substance, a PED substance. Now, after stripping BJ Saunders of the belt, now they decided to make him the mandatory for the same belt. So he will most likely be facing Demetrius Andrade next, and that is an excellent fight. I mean, this is just great news to have Demetrius Andrade going up against BJ Saunders and Canelo going up against Andrade-Jacobs. These are some big fights in the middleweight division. The only person that's really left out that really wants to be in a tournament like that is Jermall Charlo, because we know when it comes to Gennady Golovkin, he doesn't want to fight any of those guys. He turned down the Canelo third fight. He turned down a title eliminator fight against Jermall Charlo, and he never even responded to the champion Demetrius Andrade giving him a shot at the WBO title. A title, by the way, that Golovkin was chasing for quite some time when BJ Saunders had that same belt. I'm telling you guys, Golovkin is having some of the worst luck right now. He's having some of the worst luck because Golovkin has always tried his best. If he wasn't trying to fight Canelo, he was always trying to find the easiest opponents. And it seemed like at one point he had an unlimited amount of C-level fighters to fight, even D-level opponents. All of a sudden, Gennady Golovkin wakes up one day and he finds himself on a little ass boat surrounded by sharks, and nothing but sharks. So while Triple G is sitting on that boat refusing to jump in the water, the sharks are fighting it out. You know, I've always told you on these videos that when it comes to Canelo and Gennady Golovkin, they are very similar. At least when it comes to choosing their opponents. But the difference is, with Canelo Alvarez, he may be hesitant to get in there with dangerous opponents, but he will get in there with them eventually. With Gennady Golovkin, he has no plans of ever getting in the ring with these dangerous lions and sharks. You see, when Gennady Golovkin, when he got in the ring with Andrade-Jacobs, everyone thought that Golovkin was going to annihilate Andrade-Jacobs because everyone kept saying all they were thinking about is the fact that Andrade-Jacobs had already been knocked out before. And I remember all the comments were basically saying that Danny is not going to go more than 3 or 6 rounds. That's exactly what Gennady Golovkin and the fans were thinking. Golovkin was thinking, if this guy has already been knocked out before, the power that I have, I know I'm going to knock him out. But he was wrong. And that fight turned out to be his toughest fight, one of his toughest fights next to the Canelo fights. Matter of fact, it was such a tough fight for Gennady Golovkin that the majority of people, they thought that Andrade-Jacobs actually won the fight. I mean, the reason why we know that it is a fact that Golovkin took that first fight just because Danny had been knocked out previously is because of the fact that once Golovkin found out that the fight was tougher than he anticipated, he decided not to give the man a rematch, even though it ended in a controversial fashion. Which is the exact reason why you have to once again give Canelo a lot more credit than Gennady Golovkin, because he has decided to get in the ring with that exact version of Andrade-Jacobs that Golovkin does not want to get in the ring with today. So with that all being said, this is getting really interesting because once again, Canelo Alvarez fighting against Andrade-Jacobs, the winner of that fight, it's a very good chance the winner of that fight will end up fighting the winner of Demetrius Andrade versus BJ Saunders. Even though the winner of that fight should be either forced to fight Jermall Charlo or give up the WBC belt, since they've had Charlo waiting for quite some time. You know, speaking of Jermall Charlo, I ran across an interesting article on BoxingNews24.com. There's a writer by the name of Jim Dower who wrote an article on the possibility of Canelo possibly facing the winner of Demetrius Andrade and BJ Saunders should Canelo get past Danny Jacobs, which we know that won't be an easy task. But he was already presuming that Canelo beats Danny Jacobs, and then his options would most likely be the winner of Andrade versus BJ Saunders next. And of course, he mentioned some other possible names as well. I want to share a little bit of this article, and I'll put the link in the description so you guys can read the whole article if you're interested. But he said Canelo's options for his September fight are as follows: Gennady Golovkin, BJ Saunders, Demetrius Andrade, Jermall Charlo, David Lemieux, and Jaime Munguia. Canelo isn't likely going to fight Charlo or Munguia. Charlo is too tough right now, and Munguia is still being built up by Golden Boy. That leaves Triple G, Andrade, and Saunders. Those two will be fighting soon, so one of them will be weeded out. He put one of them will be weeded put, but I think he meant to say out. But anyway, those are some pretty good points. And one of the main things, obviously, that he said that stood out is Canelo Alvarez most likely won't fight Charlo next because he's too tough right now. This just goes to show you guys, once again, man, the truth always comes to light. You could say whatever you want to say about Charlo, but deep down, people still understand that styles make fights. And whatever you want to say about the Charlo versus Matt Karlball fight, Canelo still understands, and everyone else still understands, that this is still one of the most dangerous fights for Canelo Alvarez, is going up against Jermall Charlo. I keep telling people, Matt Karlball, his style is the complete opposite of Canelo Alvarez's style. Matt Karlball is a southpaw. Canelo is orthodox. He's conventional. He has a very impressive, extensive amateur pedigree. Matt Karlball is a mover type fighter. He's the type of fighter that uses his foot movement as his defense. Canelo stands in front of you. He likes to use a lot of head movement and stand in front of you. He's not the type of fighter that uses his feet as his defense. He doesn't move around the ring that much. And usually when Canelo does move around the ring, if he has a fighter pressuring him, he usually gets backed up to the ropes and he'll fight off the ropes, like he did when he was backed up against James Kirkland, against Angulo, and even Gennady Golovkin in the first fight. Canelo is not a Lomachenko, Matt Karlball type of fighter that can keep the fight in the center of the ring with just slipping and using angles. Keep in mind, I'm only talking about if he's in the ring with a pressure fighter, someone who's applying a lot of pressure on him. Once again, go back and watch the James Kirkland fight and you'll see what I mean. So there's no doubt in my mind that Canelo Alvarez and even Golden Boy, I believe all of them feel that Jermall Charlo is too dangerous of an opponent to fight right now. And this is the reason why I feel right now, even though the WBC president, Mauricio Solomon, is a good guy, but it's just too much of a conflict of an interest when the president of the WBC is from Mexico and the WBC champion happens to be the biggest boxing star in Mexico. Matter of fact, just to confirm how much of a conflict of interest that is, I had a couple Canelo Alvarez fans who were actually bragging, saying that they're not going to strip Canelo Alvarez because Canelo Alvarez, he has the entire WBC in his pocket. He said because the WBC president is Mexican from Mexico. He said, so there's no way Solomon would ever strip Canelo Alvarez for not facing Jermall Charlo. So, you know, it puts Solomon in a tough spot. It puts Jermall Charlo in even a worse spot. But all I can say is I'm just happy we're getting a little bit of progression when it comes to some of the best middleweights fighting against each other. Once again, Canelo going against Danny Jacobs, unification bout. Demetrius Andrade going against BJ Saunders. Those are top 5, the most anticipated fights to watch so far this year. So once again, if Canelo were to beat Danny Jacobs, I just hope he builds off of that momentum. I hope if he beats him, that gives him more confidence to get in the ring with all the other top middleweights, like once again, the winner of Andrade versus BJ Saunders. Let's see what happens. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. Oh yeah, and if you guys are training and you're looking to improve your coordination, your defense, slipping punches, reflexes, counter punching ability, make sure you guys cop the focus ball. The focus ball will help you in all those categories, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the description box so you guys can cop one. That's all I got for now, guys. Yep.